The old church stood on a hill, a monolithic silhouette against the bruised canvas of the twilight sky. St. Sybil's, a place whispered about but seldom visited. Its stone facade was crumbling. Ivy, like grasping fingers, reached across the weathered archway. The iron gates groaned a mournful dirge as I pushed them open. Each footstep towards the church echoed in the unnerving silence. The air grew colder, a distinct chill that seeped into my bones despite the summer night. The scent of damp earth and something else, something akin to decay, filled my nostrils. The stained glass windows, blackened with age, offered no glimpse inside. They were sightless eyes, staring out into the gathering darkness. St. Sybil's was more than just a building. It was a spectre of forgotten faith, shrouded in an ominous aura. My name is Jonathan. I have always been fascinated by the past, by the stories that have been forgotten, and the places that have been left behind. I am a historian, drawn to forgotten places and the secrets they hold. The thrill of uncovering a piece of history that has been lost to time is what drives me. St. Sybil's, with its long history of unexplained phenomena, had been calling to me for months. The stories of ghostly apparitions and mysterious sounds intrigued me. Local legends spoke of spectral figures and chilling cries echoing from within its decaying walls. These tales had been passed down through generations, each one adding a layer of mystery to the church's history. I had dismissed them as folklore, mere stories to scare children, but as a historian, I knew that every legend had a kernel of truth. Yet standing before its imposing structure, I felt an undeniable sense of foreboding. The church seemed to loom over me, its dark windows like eyes watching my every move. My footsteps echoed on the cracked stone path. Each step seemed to take me deeper into the past, into the heart of the church's mysteries. Each crunch of gravel beneath my feet heightened the sense of solitude. The world outside seemed to fade away, leaving only me and the church. Why did I feel so drawn to this place? Was it the historian in me, eager to unravel the truth behind the legends? Or was there something more, something that I couldn't quite explain? Was it the historian in me, eager to unravel the truth behind the legends? The thought of discovering something new, something that had been hidden for centuries, was exhilarating. Or was it something else, some unseen force beckoning me towards an unknown fate? The air around the church seemed to hum with energy, as if it was alive with secrets waiting to be uncovered. As I reached for the rusted handle of the church door, a cold gust of wind whispered past my ear, sending a shiver down my spine. It was as if the church itself was warning me, urging me to turn back, but I couldn't. I had to know what lay inside, what secrets St. Sybil's was hiding. The door creaked open, revealing a dark, musty interior. The air was thick with the scent of decay and something else, something I couldn't quite place. I took a deep breath and stepped inside, ready to face whatever awaited me. The heavy oak door yielded with a groan, its ancient hinges protesting against the intrusion. It felt as though the door itself was reluctant to allow anyone inside, guarding the secrets that lay within. Dust motes danced in the single sliver of moonlight that pierced through a crack in the boarded-up window. The light seemed almost magical, casting an ethereal glow on the dust particles, making them look like tiny stars suspended in the air. The air inside was thick with the smell of mildew and decay. It was as if the very walls were exhaling the years of neglect and abandonment, filling the space with a musty, oppressive atmosphere. The oppressive silence pressed upon me, broken only by the frantic thumping of my own heart. Each beat echoed in my ears, amplifying the sense of dread that seemed to seep from every corner of the darkened church. I took a hesitant step inside, my hand trembling as I flicked on my flashlight. The beam of light wavered, casting long, flickering shadows that danced on the walls, adding to the eerie ambience of the place. The beam of light flickered across the dilapidated interior, revealing glimpses of the church's former glory now lost to time. The once grand structure was now a mere shadow of its past, with every corner telling a story of neglect. Pews, warped with age and neglect, lay in disarray. They seemed to be frozen in time, each one a silent witness to the countless prayers and hymns that had once filled this sacred space. Hymn books lay open, their pages yellowed and brittle. The words on the pages were barely legible, faded by time and the elements, yet they still held a sense of reverence and history. Above, the once vibrant murals on the vaulted ceiling had faded to ghostly images. The colors that once told stories of faith and devotion were now mere shadows, barely discernible in the dim light. And then, I heard it. A whisper, faint, almost indistinguishable. It was as if the very walls were trying to communicate, their voices barely audible over the silence. I froze, holding my breath, straining to listen. My heart pounded louder, each beat a reminder of my own vulnerability in this forsaken place. There it was again, a chorus of whispers, seeming to emanate from the very walls themselves. The voices intertwined, creating a haunting melody that sent chills down my spine. It was as if the church was alive, its spirit reaching out to anyone who dared to enter. My hand shook uncontrollably, the flashlight beam jittering across the walls. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if they were trying to convey a message lost to time. I directed the beam towards the altar, now covered in dust and cobwebs. The once sacred space now looked forlorn and abandoned, yet it held an undeniable aura of mystery and reverence. An old, tattered Bible lay on the altar, its pages turning as if by an unseen hand. The whispers seemed to grow louder with each turn, as if the book itself was a conduit for the voices. My eyes widened in a mix of fear and curiosity. What secrets did this place hold? What stories were the whispers trying to tell? I felt a strange compulsion to stay, to uncover the mysteries hidden within these ancient walls. With a hesitant hand, I reached out to touch the Bible. The whispers seemed to crescendo, filling the air with a cacophony of voices. My fingers brushed the brittle pages, and for a moment the whispers stopped, replaced by an overwhelming silence. In that silence, a realization dawned upon me. This church, this forgotten place, was not just a relic of the past. It was a living entity, a repository of memories and voices, waiting for someone to listen, to understand. Slowly, I backed away from the altar, the flashlight beam steady now. The whispers had returned, softer this time, almost comforting. They seemed to guide me, leading me back towards the heavy oak door. As I stepped outside, the heavy oak door creaked shut behind me. The whispers faded into the night, leaving me with a sense of awe and wonder. The church, with its chorus of whispers, had shared its secrets, and I knew I would never forget the experience. The whispers grew louder, swirling around me like a cold, ethereal wind. They seemed to be coming from the far end of the church, towards the altar. I moved cautiously down the aisle, my flashlight beam cutting through the oppressive darkness. As I neared the altar, the whispers morphed into a haunting melody. It was the sound of an organ, its mournful notes echoing through the empty church. Panic welled up inside me. There was no organist, no source for the music. The organ itself was ancient, its keys covered in dust. Yet the music continued, growing louder, more insistent. I felt a presence behind me, cold and menacing. Turning slowly, I swept the beam of my flashlight across the pews, empty. But the music played on, and the presence remained, a palpable chill in the air. I stumbled back from the altar, my heart pounding in my chest. The music seemed to be closing in on me, suffocating me. I tripped over a stray piece of wood, my flashlight skittering across the floor. As I scrambled to retrieve it, my hand brushed against something cold and damp. It was a hymn book, its once pristine pages now stained a gruesome crimson. The blood was old, dried to a rusty brown. My hand trembled as I lifted the book, its pages making a brittle, crackling sound. The inscription on the open page sent a shiver down my spine. "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." The words were scrawled in a frantic hand, the ink faded but still legible. Who had written these words, and what had driven them to such desperation in this haunted sanctuary? Driven by a morbid curiosity, I found myself drawn to the ancient church, its towering spires casting long shadows in the moonlight. The air was thick with an eerie stillness, as if the building itself held its breath, waiting for the secrets within to be uncovered. I descended deeper into the bowels of the church, each step echoing in the hollow silence. The narrow staircase seemed to stretch endlessly, its dimly lit path leading me further away from the world above. A narrow, cobweb-draped staircase led down to a crypt beneath the altar. The walls were lined with ancient stone, cold and unyielding, as if they had witnessed centuries of secrets and sorrow. The air grew colder, heavy with the stench of damp earth and decay. A thick mist clung to the ground, swirling around my feet as I moved deeper into the crypt. Each step I took was met with an eerie silence, broken only by the drip, drip, drip of water seeping through the cracks in the ceiling. The sound echoed through the chamber, a haunting reminder of the passage of time. The crypt was a labyrinth of stone and shadow, its dark hallways twisting and turning in a maze of forgotten memories. The walls seemed to close in around me, their cold embrace a stark contrast to the warmth of the world above. The air hung heavy with the weight of centuries, each breath a struggle against the oppressive atmosphere. The aged stone walls bore the marks of time, their surfaces etched with the stories of those who had come before. Rows upon rows of tombs lined the walls, their surfaces etched with the names of the forgotten dead, each name a testament to a life once lived, now reduced to a mere inscription on a cold stone slab. Some bore faded inscriptions, while others were worn smooth by the relentless march of time. The details of their lives lost to the ages, their stories now nothing more than whispers in the dark. What secrets did these tombs hold? What tales of love and loss, of triumph and tragedy lay hidden beneath the surface? What tales of tragedy and despair lay buried beneath the cold stone floor? The weight of their stories pressed down on me, a heavy burden that seemed to grow with each step I took. As I ventured deeper into the crypt, the darkness seemed to close in around me, its inky blackness swallowing the light of my torch. The air grew colder, and a sense of unease settled over me. A cold wind seemed to rise from the depths, whispering through the silent chamber. The sound was faint, almost imperceptible, but it sent a chill down my spine. It was as if the very walls were speaking to me, their voices a haunting reminder of the past. Among the tombs, I found ancient artifacts, relics of a bygone era. Each object seemed to hold a story of its own, a piece of the puzzle that was the crypt's history. As I made my way back to the surface, the light at the end of the tunnel grew brighter, a beacon of hope in the darkness. The secrets of the crypt remained, but I had glimpsed a part of their story, a fragment of the past that would stay with me forever. The church stood silent in the moonlight, its secrets safe for another night. But I knew that the crypt's story was far from over, and that one day its mysteries would be revealed.